think about it, and if I look at some countries, even European countries, are very focused on the role of a parent. So, I mean, for an example, I do know that in Germany and in Switzerland, typically your public schools give a lunch break and like an hour, when every school gives lunch break. But in that hour, the kids are supposed to come back home, have their meal, and go back to school or go back to whatever activities they're supposed to do. Now, the
Okay.
question always is, okay, I can understand if the child is 10, 11, and they can come back home because they're obviously living in a closer vicinity. But what about children who are younger? Who brings them home? So the expectation is there is always one parent and a very unsaid expectation of the mother being there. So there are certain unsaid expectations as well, which also do happen. Now, when we bring these concepts, right, um, there is also a lot of modern parenting that's also coming in. There is also conversation about equal parenting, conscious parenting, and at the same time, you're also struggling with some of these, I would say, intergenerational, information that's also coming to you, etc. Plus this new expectation from women to be, wearing 50 hats and be doing all of this. So when we look at modern parenting and how those roles are evolving, plus the kind of demand that work puts in them, uh, how should modern parenting evolve, looking at the all of these aspects of what needs to change for them, plus the kind of expectation work has, plus the kind of expectation in terms of how society is also changing, exposure is also changing. How should this evolve for parents?
I've already used the term and I'm going to use it again.
Sure.
Gender neutral chores. It's but again easier said than done.
Right.
As you said, there is an unconscious, tacit, unsaid understanding that this is something which the mother will do.
Yeah.
The man of the house is the breadwinner. Even when the woman becomes the breadwinner, the man does not make the bread at home.
Yes,
Right?
that's
Yeah.
true.
Right? So she is the breadwinner outside and she is the bread maker back at the home. Right? So gender neutralizing everything to the extent, and it will take conscious first acknowledgement, becoming cognizant of the fact that this is a lopsided equation and not in favor of the woman. Now let's take biology, pure biology. During the life cycle, a man becomes a young adult at 13, 14. Women start menarche at the same age. It's crueler to them. The adjustment is much bigger. Right? Then they have to live with period pain, 5 days of periods every month from that point
Yeah.
onwards until pregnancy and then childbirth. And then the early time of raising a young child, which only a woman can do, purely biological function, as to lactating the child, nursing the child. After that, menopause. Again, unique to a woman, biological reality. Men do not go through that. So, overall, biologically, somehow nature has also created more hoops for the woman to jump through.
Yeah.
Right? And we need to acknowledge it just as a biological fact. It doesn't mean that you make special concessions and make it sound like, oh, we are doing so much to adjust the woman. No. You are losing 50% of your workforce if you're not cognizant of these facts.
Absolutely.
In an equal society, in a fair society, women have as much to contribute as men do. Let the society loses as a whole when women are not part of the workforce.
Yeah.
Right? It's on the society to wake up and not go into those cozy mollycoddled mothballed ideas of oh, this is what a man is supposed to do, that is what a woman is supposed to do. Look at how much you are losing as a society. Take an inventory of it, right? And look how it serves you better when men and women are equal at all places, giving concessions for whatever the biological needs of each individual are,
Yes.
right? So that is where I believe that is another place where a lot of thought has to be there. See, it starts with first recognizing that
Yeah.
there is something which is not okay here. Right? As mental health professionals, we know that so many times with me and Sindhu, a lot of the guilt which the woman is carrying. Now what is a brain health issue? A brain health issue is it simply comes in whenever a vulnerable brain has stresses beyond its capacity to manage. So why do more and more women end up seeking therapy or going to a psychiatrist is because they're trying to fit into this unrealistic mold which the society has created for them. Juggling a few extra balls than the men
Yeah, that's true.
while dealing with their own biological reality.
Yeah. Other,
Right? So many a times when our sessions go through and when we are taking a woman on this journey to better brain health, you know what happens? Her assertiveness improves,
Improves. Yeah.
right? She starts recognizing herself as a productive member who need not always be present for the kids, and it's fine. Where her expected roles we are able to, with families and with and I assure you, men are catching up. Men many a times are they surprise us, for whatever biases we may have. Men
Yeah.
these days are pleasantly giving up that fake alpha image and becoming more omega, more hands on, more happy to be there for the kids, enjoying the
Yeah.
kids,
and
Yeah.
this needs to
right?
be
The
normalized. It
it
is,
is
Yeah.
it is happening,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
No one needs a
And
badge
it
of
it's
is
honor
normal.
if a man does laundry or
No,
takes care
no,
of the child.
yeah,
Let's normalize the two people have come together to build a
yeah,
family.
to
it
build a
is,
family.
it is,
And
it is, right?
interestingly, what Dr. Satyen was talking about, assertiveness, I so agree with you because for women's mental health, this is one single skill that's a game changer. More than
Totally.
anything else, forget the
Yeah.
fancy psychology words. Teach women to be assertive,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
and then we have better mental health.
And those families will do better
Yes,
overall.
100%.
Everybody gains.
Yeah.
There is, see, I mean, I consider myself a feminist, which simply means that I believe men and women are equal. That's it. But you know what? Interestingly, for most of the biggest problems of the world, when I'm asked what the solution to this long term, applicable, and completely workable solution, many a times I find myself saying, empower the women. Supposing we are talking about, say, a terrorist nation, put the
Yeah.
women in charge,
Yeah.
let them have control over. It is going to solve. I assure you, it does. And there are real
We'll
life
find novel ways of
examples.
bombing you,
I
but
know.
okay.
Bit of a stretch, doc, but okay.
No, no, no. I can give you real life examples, right? Do you remember how in New Zealand that one terrorist act, how it was handled by the Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much better it was?
But
How
see,
much more
that,
human it was?
but
Yeah.
doc, this is my problem. I don't think we need to pit one against the other. I don't
It's
think we
not.
need
I
to
mean,
say that women are
I
better. You
agree.
know what
I
I mean?
agree.
Because,
I agree. I agree. It's just that I have seen these
yeah, yeah.
examples and I'm convinced. And so taking that same example further, the New Zealand Prime Minister did also, after some time, put up her paper saying that I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I need to focus on my life. And again, Perfectly normal. It's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody should
Absolutely.
take it as a defeat of womanhood or anything. No, it's all right.
Yeah.
Every person has to prioritize what they want in their life. She did a great job while she's there. She's taken another choice. I'm okay with both. Both of them are good examples. I would want more of these. I would want more of these.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Toxic masculinity is a
Yeah.
fact. Would you not agree with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me be the one to bring Dr. Satyan back into the actual question. When Lochin was actually asking about parenting, and I agree with him
Yeah.
completely that if you were to make things more equitable, and if gender roles and tasks, basic everyday tasks of parenting were gender neutral, we would have a much more modern parenting paradigm. We would be less
Yeah.
anxious as a family, therefore raise better kids. Simple. The math is simple there, right? So, I hope
It,
that was the question you were
especially
attempting to
when
answer.
especially
Agreed.
when the caregiving adults in general are reducing. So maybe earlier when
Yes.
we were in joint families and there were like,
Ah,
two
yes.
aunts and two uncles and grandparents and, two kids are being raised together, there were automatically the roles would get split.
Yeah.
So there would
Yeah.
be somebody who's ensuring that all the kids have eaten, someone's ensuring all the
Yeah.
kids are taken out,
Yeah.
for their, their homework is being done, or someone's so somehow the roles would get split, and now we're expecting all of these roles, which used to be, let's say, done by grandparents, uncles,
Right.
aunts, next door neighbor, auntie, all of that coming together, falling completely on the couple, and in which case also it ends up being extremely lopsided and falling on largely on the woman. Now, in such a case where all of this is falling on the couple, what happens to the couple? And my question goes to saying that, um, I'm going to, I don't have statistic, but I'm going to talk about a very uncomfortable trend that, or uncomfortable observation that I've made is a lot of people are choosing to part ways. A lot of
Yeah.
couples are choosing to part ways after they've had their kids. And this is not when their children are 12, 14, but as young as 2, 3, etc. So obviously there are probably already cracks in the relationship,
Yeah.
which I do believe gets
Widened,
potentially
yes.
can get
Yeah.
widened
Yes,
with
yes,
a child
yes.
coming into the equation. And there's a lot more that's happening. So, what happens to the intimacy? What happens to the first equation, which is the couple?
Yeah.
And also really think about it. What produced the child? The
Yeah.
first step of that
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
action.
Yeah.
What
It's,
happens to
I
all
think it's
of
very
this in
important that
the
you ask this
equation?
question because, look,
Yeah.
a lot of expectant parents listening to this right now are hoping that we will say, no, absolutely not. You're going to be the same wild, spontaneous couple who talked all the time, couldn't keep their hands off of each other. But the reality is that there is going to be some changes, temporary and long term. But not all changes are necessarily undesirable and bad. So the transition to parenthood is one of the most massive reorganizations in the lifespan of a human being. It
Yes.
changes the brains, it changes our endocrine systems, behaviors, identities, relationships, and everything changes when we transition to
even
parenthood.
our sexual
Yes,
desires
and that's
and
the one.
yeah.
So the
To
first
some
one,
extent,
yes.
yes.
So
Yes.
look, right after childbirth, your sex drive now has to compete with the overwhelming fatigue that often accompanies taking care of a newborn,
Yes.
right? And new babies are demanding. They require around the clock attention and a great deal of physical contact. And this can be both physically and emotionally draining. So when you finally have a moment to yourself, you may need a break for intense physical attunement, attachment, and listen, making love or having sex is low on your list of priorities because your sex
Yeah.
drive now is in low list of those priorities. Then you're probably now getting to know your new postpartum body. You may not entirely feel at ease with it yet, right? So, right after childbirth, these feelings will have an impact, or sometimes a dramatic impact on the body image, and it can make you feel less desirable. Then there are
Yeah.
psychological adjustments to the new parenting role. Then some parents actually need more time to recover from a difficult or a complicating birth process. Hormonal
Yeah, yeah.
changes, sleeplessness, constant demands of a new baby, it can actually create surprisingly new feelings: anger, sadness, resentment, guilt, fear, inadequacy. In some cases, I have seen parenting, new parents can also feel triggered and suddenly unresolved feelings from their own childhood
Yeah.
has come up.
Yeah.
So now imagine this without support, relationship between the primary relationship, like you said, Lochan, primary relationship between two people that can strain to the brink, and with the mother even showing early symptoms of depleted mother syndrome, where the father and the mother, or two people, or the birth giver, feels that sex is not important, connection is not important. I need to first regulate my body. Simple as that. So, yes, sex will get impacted, your intimacy will get impacted. Fortunately, fortunately, the good news is it's short term, and with the right
Yeah.
kind of support, it can be better and novel than before.
Right.
Sex
Right.
is not a permanent narrative or script. The way one enjoys their body and someone else's body, it's not permanent. It can be novel, exciting, thrilling, fun, all of that. But two people who are tired can't do that, who are
Yeah.
exhausted and who are constantly trying to be the perfect parent.
Parents, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
That is something that's
And
killing
we,
us.
Sindhu, I think at this point we need to tell people that kids are tough.
Absolutely.
Babies are tough, right? They are not going to die if they are not, if you're not constantly monitoring them under a camera.
Oh my God, yes.
Kids topple from beds and they are fine. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So this entire paradigm of anxious parenting
yes.
which we see these days,
Yeah.
right? I would so because see simply a function of not having seen babies earlier in your life, not having handled babies earlier in your life, right? So
Yeah.
for the most modern couples, the first baby they are actually interacting with intimately is their own,
Correct. Absolutely.
and that's not an optimal situation to be in anyway, right? I mean, all the time me and Sindhu we talk about it takes a village to raise a
Absolutely.
child, right? And we lost the village,
Yeah.
but who's stopping us
Actually.
from recreating the village?
Create your own village. Choose your
Yeah.
community for the health of the child, for the development of the child, and for your own intimacy connection. Please invest in creating a close knit community of trusted people who can be your village. Let the
Yeah.
village raise the child. I promise you, and this is coming from two mental health professionals, and a lot of people would agree with us on this. The child is going to be healthier, more well rounded. You're going to be happier.
Absolutely.
That's the only
Yes.
guarantee. Better, I
Yeah.
mean, no one style of parenting triumphs over other, but happier parents raise better children. Fact.
And understand that you are raising the most intelligent being on the planet. It's a learning machine, right? Kids absorb from every adult around them,
Yeah.
and it would be so unfair to think that your child is going to be your carbon copy down the road,
Yeah.
right? Give
That's
them more
true.
exposure to more adults, right? What we have done in our anxiety of this modern day parenting is that we keep sanitizing our kids environments too much, whereas we need to let go of that. The stranger danger, I know, of course, there are bad news, there are bad people out
Yeah.
there, there are some realities which we need to be aware of, agreed. But having said that, are you going to let fear dictate how you raise your child? Is that a good place from where your parenting emotions should be coming out, or on trust, on mutual respect, or on creating that village. As I said, me and Sindhu, we have done that with so many parents, where we go into a housing society and we tell them, how many of you have kids in a similar age group, and how many play dates are we arranging.
Yeah.
What
And
modern cities and what modern living arrangements have done is that they have robbed us of our neighbors.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
So not only for the
Right?
child, but even postpartum care of women. And I know that
Yeah.
Dr. Satyen
Agreed?
will be talking about postpartum, but just wanted to say this, that the whole idea of postpartum care and even simple things like someone bringing food, that's something that's a
Yeah.
done deal in village. There are specialized, there are different kinds of food that come for the woman who's just given birth, right?
Yeah.
And there
Right.
are women to massage, oil, bathe the new mother. People come
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the mother. In cities, they say, oh, we
Yes.
want
Yes.
to come and see your child, we want to meet the baby,
Child.
come and meet the mother.
Yeah.
The mother needs you
Yeah.
more, hold
Absolutely.
the mother,
Yeah.
not the baby.
And
Hmm.
in fact, I think, so two things I want to kind of bring in here from one is on the question, of course, on the intimacy part of it. And I know this was a conversation that we had for our working mom group. And there was a participant who later, as part of her experience and feedback, shared that that one thing of saying that find go out on a date with your partner, she said, made a lot of difference to my relationship with my husband, and my child is about 8 9 months old. She
Yeah.
said, but in the session when Dr. Satyan and Dr. Sindhu said this, and I thought, okay, let me try this out. I can feel the difference in our relationship, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I want to definitely
Yeah.
say has been great for sure. And the second part that you spoke about, Sindhu, was this is again something a lot of women did mention, that when I was expecting, everybody was like, are you eating okay? Are you eating fine?
Yeah.
Don't do this, eat that. When the baby was born, is the baby eating okay? Is the
Yeah.
baby
Oh my
Yeah.
eating
God,
fine?
that's a
Is the baby
brilliant
Yeah.
sleeping?
example.
And,
Absolutely.
and not, no, she said, suddenly I just disappeared. And
Yeah.
in like you said, in cases postpartum, there have also been extreme cases where the mother has rejected the child, or has, consciously, kind of abandoned the child. And it can happen in
Right.
extreme cases as well,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, and I want to bring you in this, Dr. Satyan, from a very medical point of view. What is
Absolutely.
postpartum? And this is specific to biological mothers, or is it, does it extend to adoptive parents as
Right.
well? So just want to
Right.
kind of bring that in.
So let's understand that normal pregnancy and giving birth is a physiological process. It's a normal human process. But having said that, it comes with a lot of stress on the mother, physically, hormonally, right? Every system is stretched. You are creating another human being. It will not be unfair to use this term called as the fourth trimester.
Okay.
So, the 3 months after giving birth, your systems are again getting back into what was your normal before the child was being created, right? And it's again a process. So, women expect that after delivery, your moods will fluctuate and it will go on the lower side. It is normal. I have yet to encounter a woman. I mean, very few. It would be a. I mean, yeah, very few who had said that our moods were perfectly all right after childbirth. Right? Most women will experience a dip, a small dip, but if it is extending into actual signs and symptoms of clinical depression, meaning you are having crying spells, you are having very disturbed sleep, you are having thoughts of probably ending your life. It can happen. Now, this is no longer normal,
Yeah.
right? Identify it as postpartum depression. It's real. It's going to hit at least 1 out of 1,000 women, especially after the first childbirth. Right? If it is happening, it's a medical situation, it needs treatment. Now, coming to one step worse than that, what you alluded to, in terms of where the woman after childbirth goes into a state where she does not even feel like taking care of the baby. In fact, there may be negative emotions about the baby, extending to the spectrum of psychosis, where she might even be in a mental state to harm the baby. Right? That would be postpartum psychosis. Lesser known, but definitely it's there. It's not as common, but it's there. And if anybody is listening to this podcast, please keep it in mind that the 3 months immediately after childbirth, the woman's mental health should be kept under close observation. And if anything is happening, safe medicines are available to take care of the depression, to take care of the psychosis, while the woman is still lactating the child, and while there is no danger either to the woman or to the nursing child of passing on any medicines which can be in any way harmful.
Got it.
And this, I have had the pleasure of working with several gynecological associations and societies where we have sensitized a lot of gynecological doctors as well as pediatricians in terms of how to look out for signs of postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and start recommending that she starts on medicine. Safer options are available. So, old school gynecologists many a time used to have this blanket statement: stop all psychiatry medicines as soon as you get pregnant. It no longer is true.
Okay.
What we understand is a less anxious brain, a happier brain will result into a happier uterus. Right?
Yeah.
So, what it actually does, women who have been maintained on antidepressants or anxiolytics, if we maintain them during pregnancy, there are n number of studies now available which have cleared that there is no danger to the forming embryo in a lot of these medications. There are a few which are dangerous, which should not be used during pregnancy, but most of these, which are to deal with anxiety, which are to deal with mood states, are very safe. Right? And we need to upgrade our knowledge in that as professionals, and we need to be on the lookout for keeping that woman in the happiest state. What it also does for a gynecologist, what it also does, it reduces the chances of preeclampsia. It reduces the chances of hypertension during pregnancy. Right? So it's a win-win all around.
Got it.
Whenever a woman goes into pregnancy, if she has been maintained on any psychiatric medicine before that, do not, as a matter of rule, just stop all medicines. Talk to your psychiatrist.